I was 18 years old, 184 pounds, fat as fuck, training 6 days a week, everything right, eating everything in sight. People stopped telling me I looked big. People started looking at me like I was weird. I wasn't doing things right. I was 18 looking 30, fat, bald by choice, and growing out a beard. How did I get there? I was a locked-in guy that was going to the gym. Let's start when I was 14. When I was 14, I was very intelligent. I had the highest grade in the class. I didn't look masculine because I was 14 years old. I looked lanky. I was skinny. My presence didn't pass confidence or strength to others. I was the weakest in my group. There was always a friend that was stronger than me. And yeah, it was funny and everything, acknowledged that some are more intelligent, some are stronger. But deep down that struck my ego. And then COVID hit, and everyone was locked inside. Apart from the fact that I was happy that I wouldn't need to go to school anymore and I could play video games all day, because I knew the grades would be good regardless, I started training at home, doing 500 sit-ups every single day. I know this sounds crazy, but I was 14 at the time. I watched some calisthenics Brazilian guys, and I thought it'd be cool to do 500 sit-ups every single day. I was very skinny, and I was still a kid. But it kind of worked. But of course I didn't get jacked or big or very strong. Nonetheless, 6 months have passed, school starts again. Now in my PE class, I'm not as lanky and weak. I can run a little bit more. I'm the one that does the most push-ups in class, and I'm very proud of that. But of course, I didn't know you had to continue. Well, I knew, but I didn't do it. I stopped working out. I worked out 1 month, then I stopped for 2, then I worked out for 3 months, then I stopped for 6. You know how it goes. Now I'm 16. I'm starting to want, as I always wanted, to have a girlfriend. And I didn't understand why guys had girls, had attention from other girls, when I didn't. I was blonde, I was tall, but I was lanky, once again, even though I had abs, because I've had abs since I was 14. It's the time I started doing sit-ups. But then my friend started going to the gym, and he told me that I should go to the gym too. For some reason in my mind, I had the thought that going to the gym is gay. I don't know how can that be truth? Okay, but nonetheless, I started going to the gym. I loved it so much. Probably you loved it. It's an incredible feeling. I was going like 5 days a week, even though the guy that was training us told us that we should only go 3 or we should rest on Wednesday, but we still came Wednesday, and I was in that gym for around 3-4 months, I think, and the progress was booming. I started in July, and then school started in September, and people were like, "Oh, you guys are so big," because I started going with my friends. And after 8 months of lifting, I hit the 2-plate bench, of course. How much weight did I gain? I think I gained around 35 pounds, because I started at 138, and then I got up to 170, yeah, around 30 pounds. But of course, most of it was fat. Yes, newbie gains, yes, I put on a lot of muscle and structurally I looked good, but the majority of it was fat, and I didn't differentiate it. I just saw that the scale was getting heftier, the lifts were going up, I was getting stronger, I looked bigger, shirts were getting tighter. I thought I was winning. Then I got a girl, life's incredible, but now I'm 17, and I need to start thinking about making money. Because I was in school, but I thought I was too intelligent to go to university. I thought I would be a millionaire by 18, which of course didn't come out as truth. I got a job. I got a job in a restaurant, which is very popular in my area. Minimum wage, 11-hour days, of course. Of course, I couldn't handle all of it because I was trying to study a data analysis course from Google online. I was trying to lift 6 days a week. I was trying to spend time with my girl. I was trying to still work the 11-hour days, and sleep just went as to something, somewhere, if it happens, if I can afford it. I slept around 5 to 6 hours every night for 3 months. Of course, my gains went to shit. I was eating everything in sight, but I wasn't eating enough because of the activity level, and instead of me just getting shredded, I just looked skinny fat after the job. And to compensate it, I thought I need to eat again. And then I went up to 184 pounds is what I went up to. I started noticing something wasn't right because I wasn't looking like the influencers I saw online. I wasn't looking shredded, I wasn't looking big, I wasn't having those enormous like delts in definition and muscles. I was confused and I was frustrated because I was getting bigger, I was getting stronger. I was doing the science-based lifting with the stretch and everything, with the correct technique, but for some reason I wasn't getting stronger. I was just a fat piece of blob that looked 30 years old. Then I thought, I need to look for a professional. I got a coach. He looked at me and he told me, "You're small and you're fat." And to me that was a shocker, because I knew I wasn't shredded, but I still had abs because of my genetics. But for me to tell me that I was small at 180 pounds, it was something I wasn't ready to hear. I got pretty shocked. But of course, after 3 months, I was 25 pounds down. I got shredded, well, not shredded, but pretty lean, around 12% body fat. And everything changed in my mind, because for the first time in 2+ years of lifting, I actually did a diet. I actually counted calories, not to just count my Big Macs and my fries and my 1500 calorie shakes with peanut butter. I was actually counting food, real food. I learned nutrition. I learned that fats actually matter. I learned that peanut butter is a fat source, not a protein source. A lot of information, a lot of results, and a lot of weight down later. I understood that I was in need of a new program. I already knew what calories were. I knew what macros were. I knew what training was. But it was all misaligned. If I know what calories are, but I don't eat the correct amount of calories, how will my body look right? If I know what macros are, but I don't know which amount of calories I should eat daily and why this amount of fat, why this amount of protein, why this amount of carbs. The same goes with training. Yes, I know I need to progressive overload, I need to do this, I need to use the muscle, but how? I knew what people told me online. I knew what I saw on the science-based videos. But after that, what comes after that? If I don't know shit, if I just hear, you should do this, and if I'm not intelligent enough, or if that person doesn't give me enough context and I don't feel it. I never had a chest pump before I started really getting into training and learning how to use the muscle. Which is crazy, because all of my friends have enormous pumps and always have had enormous pumps since the start. I always had shitty legs, but I didn't understand why. I thought it was because of my structure, because my legs are pretty long for my height. But that in and of itself isn't a reason to have small legs. I wasn't training with purpose. I didn't understand how to use the quads, how to use the hamstrings. I was just doing what I saw online. Without a calibration, I need to know how to use the quads. I need to know why the quad works like this. I need to know which exercises are good for me, and I need to know how to make them good for me. And that shifted my perspective not only on fitness, but on everything around it. Because I wasn't working a job. I wanted to be a fitness coach. But how could I be a fitness coach if I didn't have that information? I was fat. I didn't know how to use the muscle. I wasn't following a diet. How would I know how to be a good coach if I myself haven't gone through the journey, don't know the stuff that makes a lifter understand his life and get the benefits, reap the benefits of fitness into his own life? Not only to look big and fat in a shirt. I don't want to look big and fat in a shirt. I want to look jacked, healthy, disciplined, confident. Of course, after you understood that steps are important because of digestion. I never thought about digestion. I only thought you eat food and it gets absorbed and then you pump some weight. No, that's not how it works. Yes, it's very simple in those regards. Yes, you need to know how to count your calories. Yes, you need to know macros. But it's like that bell curve. You say it's very simple, then you start getting into it and you start saying it's very complex. And then once it wears off, you start understanding that once again it's very simple. But now you've went through all of that information. You've went through that transformation. You now know how to apply it. And of course then I started studying pharmaceutics as a plan B, because I still want to be a fitness coach and I still am to this day. I have some clients, but studying something made me realize that it actually should be a complement in your life, fitness. Yes, it's very important. Yes, I think everybody should work out. But I was focusing on it and forgetting that it goes onto other parts of life. And I didn't have other parts of life. And now that I've got a job in pharma, now that I've went through the transformation, the physical transformation, I know how that applies to men in their 20s. And now I can reap the results. And now I live with fitness, not for fitness, not because of fitness. I live with it. It's calibrated into my own life. Because I can read all of the studies in the world, but then I get analysis paralysis. I don't do shit. I think I need to do every movement perfect. But it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be done. And that's something that takes time to acknowledge. Because I can tell you this, and you'll hear it. Or you won't. And you won't apply it. But if you hear it enough times, if you apply it, if you really get after your shift to the gym, and then you think, that guy told me, it doesn't have to be perfect, it has to be done. And then you go and you do that set, and you try to be focused. 3 sets that are okay are better than 0 sets. 3 sets that are good are better than 3 sets that are okay. And a whole workout that had perfect sets is incredible, but it almost never happens. And you need to strive to have a calibrated life to live with fitness. And now you build it in your 20s. Subscribe for more.